Welcome to Australia by Design. We're looking for the best architecture in the country to find the top 10 projects for this year. In this episode, our panel of industry leaders are sitting around the table at Woods Bagot.
I love hearing the opinions of our judges, who are all suppliers in the industry. So each one of them deals with architects and architecture on a daily basis through their business.
Peter explores the future of apartment living in the inner city. Susie shows us the beauty of restraint. Jill gets to the heart of a community in Sydney. First though, building bridges in Adelaide.
It is sensational. This design is very elegant with sweeping lines, constructed of concrete, of course, with an overlay of coloured back glass.
A bridge is a bridge. It does a job, but what's wrong with having a bridge that talks back with reflection and is built for such a perfect environment as this?
Adelaide's latest piece of urban architecture is a slimline leap of faith across the river that performs many tricks and provides a much-needed link between Adelaide Oval and the city.
It was a great project to win, and it was a great collaborative team. And what we wanted to do was to create a number of places rather than just a bridge. And the other thing we're really finding is that people are coming by public transport, so they're leaving their cars behind.
Oh, that's good.
And before and after the games or whatever events on at the Oval, they're really flooding into the city, and it's really enlivening the city. You can really tell the difference the bridge has made to the whole of the city.
And so what I'm kind of picking up on is the blue hues in the glass and even the opaque panels are being very elegantly picked up by the eucalypts, yeah?
That's a really nice observation, Jamie.
What do you think?
We really love the way that it reflects the water and it reflects the landscape, because it's a building that's within its landscape rather than sitting upon the landscape.
Now, I've noticed you've got a couple of enormous red gums there. I mean, they must be a real part of the heritage here, yeah?
Yeah, they are. It's a remnant Indigenous river red gum. And we work very hard with arborists to ensure that the tree stayed very healthy, as the whole slab is suspended so that it floats over the roots. There's a myriad of grated openings that allow oxygen down into the roots.
And then the soil doesn't become anaerobic and everyone's happy, no pyrethra.
Yeah, no, it's great to come here today and see it so healthy.
So what a magnificent structure to share with your friends, your family, and let it leave behind. I mean, you must be so proud of this, Pete.
Proud of this, proud of doing work in the public realm always. You sort of feel like you're giving something to the city.
It's a beautiful piece of sophisticated engineering that really just balances on one little Y post. I don't know how you did that, by the way. It's almost become a beacon for the river, hasn't it?
Really, it's the structural engineer. He was a genius. This man, Nico Tsoulakis, was an absolute genius to work with.
A Greek engineer.
Greek engineer.
There you
so
go.
Passionate.
Love
so
that.
Passionate.
This is far more than just A to B. You've done this lovely big scoop, and then at the end of that Belvedere.
The
cantilevered end of the bridge
well,
there.
Every time we drew this curve, you kind of thought, well, where's it going to end? Seemed to be the right thing to do.
Am I looking at bluestone or is that granite? What is that?
This is mostly granite. Government assets are all about keeping maintenance down.
I can imagine, yeah.
And
well, you can't get any harder than granite, can you?
No, but that surprisingly was another argument for the glass.
Okay.
Because it is actually self-cleaning by and large. And so it actually was a sensible as well as a poetic choice.
Yes, yes. I mean, the brief was really to get from the Oval to the train station. But at night, it's a very elegant journey, isn't it? Because it's all illuminated.
Yeah, that was a big part of our competition entry as well. We worked with Jeff Cobham, who's a lighting designer and works in theatre, so it has a very theatrical presence. During the footy season, they light it with the different footy colours and they light it differently.
Wow.
During cricket time as well, or during festivals, it's lit in another way again.
Well, why have a bridge when it can be an amphitheatre, a light, a water feature, a landscape? I mean, it really does many performing tricks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's multi-purpose, which is what you really want to see in public spaces.
Yeah. This bridge doesn't only connect the north with the south, but it very elegantly connects function with style. In fact, some might say that it's lighting the way, very gracefully, to urban connectivity.
As our cities become more and more crowded, architecture has an important role in making them more livable. Right now, Peter's in Melbourne looking at a building that's doing just that, with style and elegance.
Englefield apartment, medium density, inner city apartment that just shows how a family can live within this space without any compromise. Excellently finished, excellently appointed, and it gives us a great deal of feel.
South Yarra was one of the very first suburbs of Melbourne. There used to be large, stately manor houses here with huge gardens, but now this is one of the most densely populated suburbs of Melbourne. The Englefield aims to capture the spirit of those large family homes.
Hi Peter,
Hi Lisa.
welcome to the Englefield.
Thank you. Gosh, it really is like a boutique hotel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going for when we designed this lobby. I've got the penthouse ready for you. I'd love to show you.
Ah, super. Oh, I like the way the lift opens straight into the apartment. Oh, wow. Oh, this really is an apartment that's built for families.
Absolutely. One of the mantras we had when we were designing the apartment was a life collected. So we wanted to make sure that we had the spaces, the provisions to display all the things that you bring to a home so that it really could be a home for a family.
So it's got lovely oak floors, fireplace, marble benches.
Yeah, and we actually start to think about these things as pieces of furniture. So these are kind of like your heirloom pieces that you'd see at your grandma's house with the kind of really considered design.
I mean, I think one of my favourite things here is just the way the light is on three sides of the room.
Yeah, that was kind of key. Having that sort of immediacy of an outdoor space and a green outlook to beyond was really important to us.
This study is really a lot bigger than we're used to seeing with studies.
Certainly for an apartment as well. So we are working at home more and more often these days. We want to make sure that the spaces we provided were healthy and beautiful spaces to work in. This is one of our master bedrooms in the house, one of 3 bedrooms that we have. They all open up quite well to the light and the view.
I do love that actually. It's amazing to be in a place, in an apartment, where every room has aspect onto this lovely terrace.
We wanted to make sure that those aspects of the grand stately home in the gardens were brought here as well because it's an important part. It goes to our health and well-being.
That's a great point. Health and well-being is something that you really do feel in a place like this. That sense of quality goes right through the project though. I mean, we had a look in the bathrooms and the bathrooms really have, I would call it a hotel level of quality.
Yeah, we were very conscious of wanting to create some customised pieces.
So Nick, we're surrounded by high density development in this area, like the developers, some of them really do rack and stack it. That's not the approach you took here, is it?
No, it's not. We really focused on high-end design, and the idea was larger living spaces, greater design principles which focused on natural light, more spaces that were similar to what we thought proportions that you'd find in your family home. And every apartment that we designed here, one of the focuses was promoting 3 sides of natural light. Ultimately, what we expected for the project demanded a lesser number, larger footprints, and that's why we arrived with the number we did.
The street has got a lovely mews feel. It's almost like a sort of English feel.
Chambers Street, South Yarra came up and we jumped at the opportunity. The surrounding amenity, the train station, Chapel Street, Jam Factory, local restaurants, bars and the shopping precinct is second to none in Melbourne.
Well, we had a look in the wine cellar and there's obviously a trust between all the occupants.
Everyone who's here, they share similar values and it's its own little community which has been nice to see.
Let's face it, as we approach 2020, we really can't afford to have 2.4 people rattling around a 3-bedroom house on a garden block in the inner suburbs. We need to embrace apartment living and make it a genuine option for families. I think this is exactly what we're looking for.
Now, sporting teams are at the heart of every community. Jill's in Sydney finding out how that heart works for everyone.
What a mammoth build this is. You've not only redeveloping a leagues club, but they're adding a whole new story and a whole new area to this at the same time. Everyone just thinks, oh, it's a leagues club. But they have really made it inviting, open-planned and warm by the use of timber throughout the whole build. These guys have really hit the nail. They've done a massive job on it and a fantastic outcome for the club and the builder.
Wentworthville is a much-loved rugby club with a very long history, but it's had to reinvent itself for a changing community. And that is the big challenge for our next architects. Anthony, this is not, to me, like a rugby leagues club. Like, where's the sport?
Yeah, look, originally the club started back in 1957 and it was, a sports club. There's fields behind us, but it's probably more of a community hub. It really is a place for people to gather and to meet their families and enjoy themselves.
Well, in fact, this where we're walking now is like the main street. I can imagine people coming here and meeting their families, meeting their neighbours, joining others in the restaurants.
It is, it's a real social hub. It's like an internalised town square.
Essentially, it's a shed. It's a very big space. How do you make it intimate?
Basically, the way we did that was create rooms within the space. So it's like an extension of people's houses. We wanted to create rooms within the rooms.
And I understand that on Mother's Day there was 6,000 people in this place.
Yeah, that was a record. They had 6,000 and there was no complaints. Everyone was very happy and it's lovely to see people gathering in this space we'll create.
So your individual fit-outs of each space have consistency, but they're all quite intimate and different.
They are. They're all of one family, as you say, but we do have like a series of different hierarchy of spaces. We've got furnishings in some areas which make it more loungy. We've got some hard surfaces and the banquet seating where it's a bit softer. So there's a little bit of a combination.
I really like how this space is enclosed by, well, basically by room dividers, and they're very transparent, and they let me see out and they let the sunshine come in. And I've just noticed that I can also watch the big screen.
Yes, you can see the rugby there. So the rugby league's on the screen, so it's all at the heart of everything in the club.
This is a lovely external protected courtyard space that you've managed to step outside the main volume. So we're standing in a space between the main function and this garden pavilion. And this is a space that, could be where the waiters come to hang out between shifts.
Really did want it to be a leftover space. We wanted it to be almost like a little nook where you could sit and relax. It has like a fractured element to the planters zone, so it creates little pockets where people could gather and also protected from the weather. And this is not the only outdoor space. We've also got the alfresco area, which is like an extension of your backyard. This is the backyard where you're sheltered, but you still feel outdoor.
Like a veranda.
So if you don't want to be inside the club with air conditioning, you can be outside and just enjoy the environment.
And that's where the screen's located. That's
right.
What I was looking at before.
Yeah, we really wanted to break up the scale of the building, and by actually fracturing the roof and breaking up the whole roof form, it embraces the interior and also comes down to the west in the main foyer. And then we've got the pavilion space that starts to drop the scale down to the actual bowling green. So it becomes a combination of different forms to break up that scale back down to what's in the street.
Yeah, so the presence to the street is very polite.
Yes, and we had to respect the locality. They're probably members as well, but we needed to make sure that it worked well for them too.
Yeah. The architects have taken a rugby club and turned it into so much more. By creating a welcoming and versatile place to visit, they've given the wider community a venue and a reason to come together.
Sometimes it can seem like Australia's architectural eyes are focused on Sydney and Melbourne. But right now we're heading to Perth to see why it's worth widening your view.
So this is an example of the builder and the architect working really well together to come up with what is an amazing, beautifully detailed home.
The design of this Dalkeith residence utilises a very skillful and carefully considered palette of materials, including concrete, timber and glass.
The way that they've managed to create beautiful spaces which still connect for the family is just testament to a great working relationship.
Dalkeith is a traditional conservative suburb of Perth, renowned for its mix of architectural styles, from beautiful Federation and Art Deco homes to very large, very expensive houses that scream, "Look at me." But this place is none of those. Dimity, what an amazing entry. Absolutely stunning. Who's this house for?
Oh, well, this house is for a client of ours who, this is actually the second house we've done for him. The first house we did for him, he was single, and then as his situation changed and with small children, he wanted a really robust, family-friendly house that the children would be able to grow up in.
I'm interested in this batten screen. We're looking through into, sort of seeing into a study.
Yes, that's correct. The owner, he likes to be able to work from home sometimes, and this space was designed as his home office.
Right.
As you arrive, it sort of wants to be screened, but he still wants to be able to be connected.
So you've got this fantastic entertaining area, grass playground area and pool. It's like a feast.
Yes, indeed, it is like a feast. I think what was really important for them was that the kids be able to be outside a lot, but also be able to be seen. We wanted it to be really open, so the spaces would flow really fluidly one into the other, and we wanted to try and avoid using lots of walls and doors. So this space is really one large space divided up by things like this courtyard, which comes into the space,
This brings the garden in.
And brings the garden inside, and then that creates a separation between the living and the dining space. And then as you move into the kitchen dining area, there's this sort of cabinet work element that conceals a number of functional items like the laundry, pantry and powder room.
That is actually an ingenious way of providing those sort of semi-ugly areas into this beautiful cabinetry detail. It actually looks like it's one large cupboard.
Yes, it is. This is sort of the kids' sitting room where you watch TV, homework space, things like that.
Oh,
and this is connected through the other side of this cabinet to the kitchen.
And there's also the children's playground.
Yeah, so the children have a sort of playroom area down there where they're allowed to be quite messy and free and creative in a space that they're not constantly having to pack away. The house has a sort of a scissor plan, and we have the long north axis which takes all of the north sun and the garden and that sort of indoor-outdoor experience on the ground, and all of the private spaces are only the family who go upstairs. There's the master bedroom and children's rooms, and so they're considered to be the sort of private areas.
I wanted to come back to this entry area, Dimity, because it's stunningly and beautifully detailed. It's very elegant, but my absolute favourite detail is this one. Tell me about it.
So we came up with the idea that we could make these really narrow slots, and then we have put 3 pieces of laminated glass that are on edge into the slot, because therefore you won't be able to see through it. It just purely brings light. It conducts light through the wall. They're very heavy, thick walls, so and that changes throughout the days.
So Dimity, another detail I'm really interested to know about is this amazing screen.
Yeah, this was another challenging detail actually. The owner, who was also the builder, came up with the ingenious idea of actually pouring it in situ, which was going to remove a lot of the visual clutter of some of the engineering required to keep it in place. And we were very impressed with the outcome that he managed to achieve. The sense of an outdoor room where you can really occupy and be outside was quite important, and also where you can still get glimpses of the river through the screen, but a sense of privacy from the street.
This house demonstrates that beautifully detailed, elegant architecture has an allure that is timeless and awe-inspiring, and that takes real skill to be able to achieve.
Time to hear the judges' final selection.
Well, what a surprise, an actual bridge has made it into the final. The way it links the two sides of the river, the reflections in the glass from the trees on the bank, it's really something special, and everyone must think so because they have made the final.
The Victoria Avenue house getting through to the finals is no real surprise. Its skillful architecture was recognised by the full panel.
Well, we're past the halfway point, and with 6 projects chosen to go through to our final top 10 and 5 states represented, it's clear that Australia is full of brilliant architecture.